Blocker stars Leslie Mann, Ike Barinholtz, and John Cena in this comedy about three parents whose respective daughters have been friends since elementary school. Years later, when their daughters decide to make a pact on prom night to lose their virginity, all three of these parents try to stop them from actually doing this and going through with their pact. Let's start with my pro list. First off, the performances from the teenage girls, Julie, Kayla, and Sam, are all really good. And I thought that they were, for the most part, I thought that their respective characters were written very well, especially when it seems that it's so much harder to write the characters of teenage girls in most comedies these days. And I even enjoyed that each girl had their own specific reason for wanting to lose their virginity that night. And each daughter also played well off of their respective parents, which I rarely ever see in any kind of film, especially when you compare more than one set of family, because in my opinion, pretty much all three of them work. The performances and written characters of John Cena's Mitchell and Ike Barinholtz's Hunter were also great, with Cena being the obvious highlight in this movie. Cena just shows that he understands comedic timing and uses that to his advantage, with the majority of his jokes actually landing, and Barinholtz kind of started off a bit weak and rough for me, but after a while his character became funnier and his comedic chemistry with Cena began to show more and more. And actually, speaking of comedy, it was fairly good throughout. Again, the highlights were Cena, Barinholtz, and also I won't forget Geraldine Vishwanathan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name, but she plays Cena's respective daughter in the movie, and I felt like she was the comedic highlight of the three girls. That being said, let's get into the con list. While I said that Cena and Barinholtz were good, as you probably remember, I said that there were three parents, and the third one, Lisa, played by the legendary, I repeat again, legendary Leslie Mann. Yeah, she doesn't get to show off her legendary comedic chops here. The character isn't written very well, in my opinion, and the way that Leslie Mann chose to play the character just made me beg for Cena and Barinholtz to have more screen time than they ended up getting. In fact, there were actually a few times where I was sitting there thinking, why couldn't this just been a buddy cop sort of comedy with it focusing solely on Cena and Barinholtz? But I kind of get where they're going. They have to have a female character in there so that it doesn't seem like a complete, you know, meat fest. Or sausage fest. I got that wrong. Now, I'm not saying that she's really bad in this movie. I'm not saying that at all, but, you know what? Let's put it this way. She makes quite a few jokes throughout the film in a somewhat consistent manner, and I only laughed at three of them. 3 fucking jokes. And they were jokes where the character's droning on in long-ended sentences, where she was complaining about how teenagers are really talking about her younger self. And while it was funny to listen to them, it just came across as, well, pathetic. And, I mean, you don't really need to resort to that kind of humor to make a character funny. Another complaint that I had was with the resolution between John Cena and his respective daughter. It just felt a bit rushed and just kind of felt forced, you know, forced its way in, because at first both parties are mad at each other, and then before I can even snap my fingers, despite the fact that I can't even snap my fingers, they just become very calm and use the moment as a cliche learning experience that we all know, but don't necessarily love. And for my last con, at a point in the middle of the film, we witnessed 2 women arguing about virginity loss. One argues that there's a double standard when it comes to boys losing theirs compared to girls, which was a good point. And then the other woman was arguing that girls are so much different than boys in that aspect. And while it was happening, the way that the dialogue was written made it feel like the writers and or director were just preaching their message loudly and just pushing it in my face. Now, I have no issue with either side, and whatever you guys think is fine with me. I mean, I lean more towards the double standard opinion myself. I do actually believe in that. But I would really appreciate it if the next time filmmakers and screenwriters try to tackle that debate anywhere in their dialogue or just in the overall message of a movie, maybe they can at least try to make it seem a little bit realistic and not forced, because if you could do that, that would be great. Thanks. Well, that's all of my talking points in this movie. So, what do I think of the movie overall? Is it one of the best comedies in years, as a lot of people have been saying it? Is it worth all the hype that it's gotten ever since South by Southwest? Well, in my opinion, no, not really. It's not worth all the hype. It's not one of the best comedies in years. However, it is a very serviceable comedy, and if you guys are just looking for a fun time to have at the theater, and you're interested in seeing this movie, I mean, I definitely suggest that you go out and see it. It was fun to watch. It's just, you know, it's not worth all the hype that it's gotten in the past couple of weeks, in my opinion. And that is where I will end this review. If you enjoyed this video, please do not hesitate to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button either. Well, yep, all that's left to do is just to say thank you for watching, and farewell until the next video.